You are listening to episode 101 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name is John, and I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey, everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and this week we strike right to the heart of the inflation-deflation challenge.
So we kind of spoiled this one over the last 2 weeks. We had episode 99 where we said, hey, we're going to play Super Mario Strikers on the Gamecube. And we also spoiled it last week on episode 100 when we were having all of our friends here for video game trivia. We, of course, let people know we're going to be playing that game again this coming week. So the Strikers are striking right to the heart. Mario Super Strikers. Also in this week's episode, we are going to be covering Sega's next retro console. Could it be the Dreamcast Mini? Says the producer.
We can only dream.
We can only dream. And also, we've got GameStop and Microsoft announcing a new strategic partnership. So what does that entail? And also, we interviewed Alex and Eric from Two Scoop Games and their upcoming game, Kickbot. That was a lot of fun. So we actually interviewed them just a few days ago, so we'll have that incorporated here into the episode for your listening needs. Ryan?
And pleasures.
And pleasures. Ryan, we'll start with you. Do you have any pickups?
It's always easy to start with me because I never pick anything up, but I did send back Paper Mario Origami King after probably only playing about 40 minutes of it.
You didn't like it, did you?
You know, it doesn't capture me. I just couldn't get into it. A lot of it's probably my fault because, you know, I was juggling playing that and not playing Persona and playing Dark Souls and playing Ghost of Tsushima. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff that I was doing and not doing, and actively not playing that game was probably the best part of playing that game.
So is it safe to say your GameFly subscription is going away?
Well, I need to make sure that they're not going to send me another game. So I need to go in and turn that off. I just got to figure out what to do because I did accumulate some credit. So I don't know, maybe there's something on there that I can buy with I think I've got $15, $10 in credit or something.
Well, if you get the new Series S, you really won't need it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so I'm going to... I'll say this, for anybody out there that actually likes to play video games, because apparently I don't, mixed reviews with GameFly. It wasn't their fault that it took so long for me to get the copy of Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah, it was. They didn't get enough stock of it.
Well, yeah, but I think that was more Sony's issue because everybody was having a hard time getting stock of that at the time. And then, the other games were, I had a lot of fun with, what was the first one I rented? Fractured Butthole?
Yeah.
That was awesome. I got to play a lot of these games and ultimately spent less than, if I had bought all these games. And with the fact that several of the games that I rented, I really didn't end up playing very much of, it feels bad, man, when you're paying week after week or month after month to continue to have that game that you're not playing. But I mean, for $15 a month, you could not play that game for a while and still save money. So it's a great way to test the waters. It's a great way to get out there and play more stuff. Since Redbox, you can't do that anymore. But yeah, with the Series S on my horizon somewhere, I will be bidding farewell to GameFly because I really got to start playing Persona.
Yeah, you really do. So let's, before we jump into mine, because I got quite a bit here.
You certainly do.
Yeah, so what are you currently playing? Have you picked up Persona and gone back to that? Are you playing nothing? Are you playing Animal Crossing?
I am making my village so spooky, John. I've got a nice, lovely little pumpkin patch with
I knew it.
A scarecrow in there, and I put up some iron and stone fencing. I'm really trying to make another effort because I had gotten to the point on my island before where I was like, okay, everything is pretty much laid out. I did some fun stuff, but now I need a density of stuff. I need more things to put around my island in various places, and I'll probably have to redo a few things. I made this little cafe area, which seemed like a lot of fun at the time. Now it just seems like it's taking up a big chunk near my plaza, and I might keep that still, but just move it somewhere else on the island. But when I went to go through my catalog and see what I could order, I don't have a lot of outdoor stuff. I've mostly only bought indoor stuff, and I know that I can craft a lot of outdoor stuff, and I haven't really gone through all of my crafting options because the crafting is fun and you can get a lot of cool stuff out of it. I like that you can customize a lot of it, but most of the stuff that you find in the store just looks so much cooler or is so much more interesting that I wish that I could get more cool stuff to put outside. But with the store only having 4 items a day and me not going on consistently every day, and I know you can go to other people's islands and just pick stuff up and then you can go home and order it. I might have to like jump online and see what the randos are doing and see if I can go steal some of their cool stuff.
So for our listeners out there, I think what I'm going to have to do is go on our website and put a countdown for the end of the year for Ryan. And this is like the Persona 5 countdown.
Yeah.
And then we can shame...
Persona 4 count.
Okay, so we can shame Ryan when all is said and done.
Hey, I finished Zone of the Enders last year with like at least 2 days to spare.
What is it, a 5-6 hour game compared to 50-something hours?
I've done at least 12 to 16 hours of Persona already.
Okay, so we're counting here, people. Ryan has 80 and a half days to get this done. We'll see if he gets it done.
See, I only have to play like an hour a day for most of those days. I could take like 2 weeks off still.
Soon it's going to be like, I got to play 2 hours a day. Okay, yeah. I got to bust out 8 hours today. Okay, right. I got 15 hours this week.
All right, I am taking this week off of work.
Yeah, I got to do that myself. I have so much sorting to do. And then speaking of website tickers, if we actually get that off the ground, you can, of course, find us on thegamedeflators.com, social media. You can find us on Twitter at Game Deflators because they don't like the. Facebook and Instagram is going to be at The Game Deflators. And, of course, find us on all of those awesome podcast applications such as Podcast Addict, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, and so on. Anything else that you're currently playing before I get into my pickups?
Sort of. This morning I was hanging out and I was doing stuff around my house and pulled up Twitch to see what was on, and I realized, man, I have not seen any Dota since the pandemic, and I really lost track of what was going on and what was going to be a really good year for Dota, and I was really excited for it when, the pandemic struck. And I don't know when they kind of got back into the Dota, but ESL1 Germany is going on right now, and I watched a match of that. I watched a team I'd never heard of, Yellow Submarines, get absolutely trounced by Team Secret. No doubt there, no surprise there from anybody, but it was fun to watch some Dota again, and I'm looking forward to a good Dota week this week.
As always, I am not as familiar as Ryan with the Dota, everything.
Well, I was thinking about it. I was like, if we had done like a who's the Dota characters for the trivia thing last week, I wonder if I would have been able to beat anybody. Like, I wonder if any of those guys play any of that stuff.
Honestly, I think Mr. Green...
Because they got a huge roster.
Yeah, I think Mr. Green Elite probably would have been the one to take that
poor
one.
Green.
Yeah,
poor Green. He tried so hard. Danny K, don't be mad at him.
Yeah, so he was like, I got screwed on Young Link or whatever. I'm like, because you said Kid Link, and I gave him like 4 chances. I'm like, dude, you got 4 chances. Like, keep going. You got to give it to me. I was even like... He could have said Toon Link, and I would have been cool with it, because Toon Link has that kind of kid-like appearance. Yeah. So, like, I knew he was going for Young Link, but I would have accepted Toon Link. Yeah. In that case. And he didn't roll with either. He's just like, I don't know. I'm like, well, you're out. Yeah. Like, you didn't get it right.
I still can't believe we left out, like, Pac-Man.
Yeah. I was actually surprised on that round where you guys didn't name a lot of, like, those staple characters, but... You know what? It was a lot of fun. Catch episode 100 if you're interested in listening to that and seeing who won.
If you want to hear an hour of names being listed.
There was more than just names.
There was more than that.
We had a lot of fun.
I came in second. We didn't lose our own thing.
Yeah, we did technically.
Well, we were the first losers of our own thing.
So if you want to hear who won that, catch the episode. We recorded with the Game Tenants podcast, so we had Church on there. We had Jordan from the Grief Burrito team. Mr. Green Elite from the Next to Nothing podcast, and we had Ryan on our end and Patrick from Sega Saturn Shiro. So definitely catch that. Give those guys shout outs. Listen to their episodes as well. And yeah. So, dude,
Let's go through. What'd you get, John? Tell the people.
I'm literally not going to go through every single pickup that I had this week.
Go through all the stuff you're keeping, at least.
Oh my god, I don't even know all the stuff I'm keeping. There's probably like 12 titles. I have the NES next to me, so I can at least say what I got here. So let me just grab that really quick. This little stack. So yeah, basic story. I'm just hanging out online, right after work, as I do, checking on the various places you can find video games, and I found a listing. And the listing was quite a bit. It was listed at $900 for this huge lot of games. And I'm not going to go into specifics of exactly what I paid, but I will say I definitely did not pay $900, and I definitely did not pay even close to retail. So I got a smoking good deal on this, and there was a lot of stuff in there. So in addition to the Super Nintendo and Nintendo consoles that are both working, have everything with them, controls, cables, all of that, Nintendo Power Pad tied to that, and of course a lot of games as well. So it was a mix of NES and SNES. Probably this might be one of the bigger cartridge-based Nintendo lots I've picked up in a very long time. So outside of that one I got last year, that was a lot of Super Nintendo, but there wasn't a lot of heavy hitter titles now, and like just enough for me to like maybe sell some to get my money back and then kind of break even on it. But yeah, so this one I had Chrono Trigger in there with the manual, a lot of manuals actually with these, all 3 Ninja Turtles games on the Nintendo, all 3 Mario games. We had King of Dragons in there, Super Metroid, Mario Kart, all the Donkey Kong countries. God, what else? Plock was in there.
That dragon game?
King of Dragons was one of them. Turtles in Time was in there. Maximum Carnage. So Spider-Man and Carnage on the Super Nintendo.
Clay Fighters 2.
Clay Fighters 2. There's quite a few. And then like Mike Tyson's Punch-Out was on there. I'm trying to think of big NES hitters. I don't think there was a lot of big NES games. There's Godzilla. Rampage was in there. Nothing super crazy. But out of what I kept, so I kept Captain America and the Avengers. I kept Defender of the Crown on NES, Battle Chess, because I didn't have that. What is this? This is Castle of Dragon, and I don't know if you recall, I think I showed you a picture, and I posted it on our Facebook as well, but my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Manhattan Project actually had like a huge chunk of the cartridge, like the cart itself, the plastic.
Oh, I saw you did a cart swap or
so
whatever.
Anybody out there, like if you have a really, really bad cart.
Or a sticker swap.
Yeah, it's basically a label swap, yeah. So if like you've got a really bad cart, like there's a huge crack or anything along those lines, it's like $15-20 usually. You can find yourself a heat gun and just like kind of like a blow dryer in a sense, basically an overpowered blow dryer. It gets really hot. You can peel paint and stuff with it. You just kind of go over the label from a distance until it starts heating up, and that sticky, the stickiness on the bottom, the adhesive begins to lift up. You can go ahead and you have that quick, but you peel it off gently but quickly, and you transfer it onto a new clean cart. So in this case, I had like a RC Pro AM or whatever it's called on NES, and the front happened to be good. So I stripped off that one with the heat gun for practice, and went ahead and swapped my labels really quick, and it looks perfect. I mean, it has the bend and everything already on there from like at the top of the cart to the side, so it's really easy to kind of line things up because of that, and you just kind of lay it on as normal and just like a sticker, and it adheres like right away. So that was pretty cool to be able to do that. But yeah, so that pickup, man, I was super excited about it. Got a lot of stuff I didn't have already, and that stuff. Oh, Castlevania 4 was one of the other ones, and so those games are put away in my system that I keep, to manage what I've got, and the other stuff is open for trades or open to, sell, if I need to kind of pick up other games down the road. So, dude, it was awesome. Like, I had a blast. And then the next day, okay, so this isn't even all my pickups for the week. The next day, somebody had, it was a PlayStation 2, and in the PlayStation 2, they had, and you can't see it here, but Time Crisis. I think it was Time Crisis. I forget the name of the actual game itself. It wasn't like Time Crisis 2 or 3. It was one of the side ones, but it had a gun con, and you and I have been wanting to play with 2 gun cons for a while, so that was cool. That came with it. Phantom Brave with the CD, which I didn't have, so I swapped out my other Phantom Brave with that one so I could get a CD. and some other titles like there was Dissidia in there, and there was actually I have it right here too. There was a DS game randomly, which was Master of the Monster Lair. It's an Atlas game, so DS complete. Figured why not? Let me pick that up too. And this lady had like other stuff too.
Is this Shovel Knight before he was knighted?
Right, it looks like it. But she had like Warhammer figures and Magic cards and everything else. So like it went from like, hey, I'm just gonna pick up this one thing to I'm gonna pick up all the things. So I got that. I'm okay talking about that one, but I picked up that for $40. The PlayStation 2 and all the games. I put like 20 towards all the Warhammer type figures and cards, which was pretty cool. So needless to say, I had a huge week of pickups. The room has gone from slightly clean to massive with a pile, and yeah, here we go again, right?
Here we go.
And then the last thing we got this week is, of course, what I am currently playing. So I picked up Genshin Impact.
You got on that train. I saw everybody on YouTube talking about this game.
It's cool, dude. Like,
is it cool?
Yeah, it's super cool. Like, I haven't gotten too far because I've just been so busy this week.
I think we talked about this a few months ago or so.
Yeah.
This was that game that it looked like kind of a Breath of the Wild knockoff graphically, but is in no way Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, it's awesome. There's a lot of people say it's better than Breath of the Wild, which is insane, but yeah, I mean, I like it from what I've played so far. It's super cool. I haven't gotten too deep into the whole like, hey, you got to put money to pay for this part.
That's what I've heard. It's pretty good with that.
Yeah, like I haven't seen that come through yet. I imagine we will see more of that as it progresses, but I'm not sure.
If you're not compelled, then the waifus aren't good enough. You got to have a lot of waifus in there to pull in that gacha money. That's where the gacha money comes from.
Yeah.
I remember a couple years ago, I was like super into whatever the Fire Emblem app game was. Like I was deep into that. Like, and I had spent maybe like $5 on it. But I was having an awesome time with that, and then it started to get like way, way more complex, and I was just like, okay, this is not what I'm looking for on my phone anymore.
Yeah, like I'm wondering when it'll get to that point where I'm like, yeah, I'm not paying money, and now I have to grind a crazy amount. But there's other free games that people don't put money towards, like Warframe and the what is it, Neverwinter, I think is the other one, and you can get through those games without paying money. Like it's more of the, if you pay money, it gives you the advantage, and you get special perks, and you're able to do things quicker than the standard person and progress. But it seems pretty cool from what I've experienced so far. I love it, the graphics and everything. It runs pretty smooth for being an online-only based game.
Can't beat the price.
Yeah, you can't beat the price. It's free. So I'd say if you got the time, check out Genshin Impact, see how it is. And then, of course, Quest Arrest is the other game. I haven't played too much of that. I got to the first case in that one where there's like a murder on the train tracks, and you're trying to find out who murdered them. And then I accidentally killed my first person in that game as a cop, and it sucks because it honestly, it wasn't my fault on this one. So I like pepper sprayed them, I actually shot them as well, and then it dropped their HP like in Pokemon to where it was like a little third, and I went to arrest them, and then when I went to arrest them, it's like, oh no, they got out, and they damaged themselves by trying to get out of the resisting arrest. And so they hit me again, and then I went to arrest again, and it killed them. Like they were like, oh, they resisted arrest and they're dead. I'm like, damn it. So my credibility as a police officer went down in the game. So like it just went up and now it went down. Like I'm so pissed. So I got to look into that a little bit more, maybe read the manual on that and see if there's like a trick to not killing them when they resist. I'm not sure. And not to bring in anything political into it. It's just that's the nature of a game, and we'll see.
This game has been in development for quite a while.
This game's been in development for a while. But I would say not before all of this, but it's been there for a while. And this wasn't, obviously, from what I understand, part of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we get started on our news, we're going to go ahead and have our listeners hear that interview that we had with Alex and Eric of the Kickbot team. So go ahead and check that out now. The interview is going to be around, I'd say 25 minutes, but we asked them quite a few questions regarding like development and, where they got their inspiration from and such, as well as, for any aspiring developers out there, kind of some, I wouldn't say tips, but some of what they did to get where they are today. and to be part of that indie developer community. So
Also, we talk ice cream.
we do talk ice cream. So give it a listen right now, and we'll catch you after the interview.
Hey everybody, we're here with Alex and Eric of Two Scoop Games. They're going to give us an interview on their upcoming game, Kickbot.
Hey, Alex and Eric, appreciate having you guys on today. So we got a chance to play some Kickbot this week. We definitely appreciate you reaching out to us, giving us a link to a demo, and really allowing us to have the opportunity to chat with you guys over your upcoming game. So thanks for coming on.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no problem. So if you want to get started with this here, for anybody that doesn't know what Kickbot actually is, can you give a brief description on the game and kind of the general genre, what it is, and, kind of that, just an overall background of what people can experience with this game?
Yeah, so Kickbot is a 2-button precision platformer that takes place inside of a giant robot leg on the moon.
So within a giant robot leg, like that is one of the coolest things out of the entire, that's not even something I caught initially while playing the game. So just to hear that from you, it's actually pretty interesting, and how it all kind of formulates when you look back at what we played, Ryan, in the actual game. Just all of that being in a leg is kind of crazy.
It's a great location. I've never played an in-leg game.
I haven't either. So got to ask you guys, with it just it's two of you, right, that run this Two Scoop Games?
Yep.
Okay, so
it's just us.
So we chatted with a few indie developers in the past at different conferences and such, and the question that you always have to ask is, how long have you guys been working on this?
So with this particular game, we've been working on it for about 1.5 years now. But we worked on a mobile version of a similar type of game before this, but we scrapped, and when we scrapped that, we went for more in a different direction of making a console or PC game, and that's what we're working on now. So
Gotcha.
And we've been making games for about 6 years together now. Yeah, it's more than 6 years together now, because we had our anniversary blog post.
Gotcha. And a quick follow-up, and then Ryan, if you want to jump into some of your stuff here, what other games did you guys have before, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah,
So what have you released in the past?
So the few games that we released in the past were for either for mobile or for the web, and so the ones that I can think of that off the top of my head, the original Kickbot, which was back in 2014. We made a game called Scurry, which was one of the first games we worked on together, and that's you play as a cockroach and you jump along shelves in a store as an infinite runner. And then we made Sea Rush. What was the tagline for Sea Rush, Eric?
Oh boy, I don't even know.
Oh.
What was the tagline?
is the ultimate, the official waffle simulator of breakfast.
Oh yeah.
I thought you would know it off the top of your head.
It's pretty good stuff. So hold on, the official waffle simulator of breakfast?
Yeah.
I like that.
It's got the official seal of approval from breakfast.
Are there any videos on that?
Yeah, you could check out on twoscoopgames.com. You could see the game. I think there's a web version. We don't have it up on iOS anymore, but it's a touchscreen game. So if you've got something that can access the web and a touchscreen, it should work. But yeah, you just fill in all the squares on a waffle with syrup and butter and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
Waffle perfectionism.
I mean, that honestly sounds like something I would probably download and jump into a plane and just kind of have at it,
Yeah.
So you guys have definitely drawn from breakfast for inspiration before, but while we were playing Kickbot, we noticed, there's some Mario, there's some Portal, there's some Super Meat Boy kind of stuff going on. What other kind of inspirations did you guys have for your studio?
Well, the game.
Well, the main one, I think Kickbot started with an argument between me and Alex about who was better, Samus or Mega Man. And I say Mega Man's garbage.
But the funny thing is, I kind of got my way because Kickbot actually the gameplay in Kickbot feels exactly like the wall jumping and sliding in Mega Man X. So that's
Okay.
that was my inspiration for it.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is and I don't know if you guys drew from this, but within a demo, there's a level specifically of barrels and such. Immediately thought Donkey Kong when I saw that.
Oh yeah,
Yep, that's what that is.
Oh, nice.
Donkey Kong Country.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, that's one of my favorite series of all time, just the country series in general. So
The game
absolutely
draws
love
from
that.
a lot of like 16-bit era stuff. Like my favorite gaming system was the Game Boy Advance back in the day, and a lot of Super Nintendo stuff.
Yeah, definitely a great era, man. I actually we'll be talking we'll have talked about this on the episode coming up when we put in your interview here. I actually just picked up a huge Super Nintendo collection the other day, and it's just chock full of great games. So Mega Man actually being in there, and Metroid. So it's pretty cool
Nice.
that you guys drew that inspiration. So I guess for a follow-up here for you guys is the music and art direction is something that really drew us into Kickbot. So how long does it take for you guys to sit back and just kind of think about each level and say, okay, yeah, this is a song that needs to go to this particular level?
So we got started on the game before we had Jake, who's the composer on the game, contracted to do the music, and he had done music for Pull Pals, which is a previous like game concept that we did for a game jam a while back, and the music was great. So we thought we would see if he could come up with something that felt like what we were going for with Kickbot, because Pull Pals is a kind of relaxing, cute puzzle game, and Kickbot is trying to be pretty high energy and fast paced. And we kind of gave him some soundtrack inspirations like Super Hexagon and stuff like that, with like pumping beats kind of feel to it. He came up with a bunch of different stuff, and we kind of go back and forth and give him feedback on the tracks, and then we see, like, at least for me, I listen to the music a lot, and then I see like what world that would fit in with, because we have 7 different worlds in the game, and they all have kind of themes, and so we kind of try to make the music fit those. And so he's made 25, well, it's probably more than that now, but he's made at least 25 tracks for the game. They're all custom, just, for Kickbot, and we have at least 2 for every world. So some for the earlier levels of the world, and some for the harder levels in the world.
Sweet. Yeah. So one of the key things that Ryan and I that really drew us in when playing your game, or at least a demo, was of course the music, and then the art style as well. That was just immediately drew us in.
Who's the artist on your team?
That's
Alex
me.
is.
That
Nice.
makes me really happy to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great. You've done a really amazing job. Everything looks great. All the animations look really fluid and nice. The backgrounds are incredible. All of those evil saws buzzing around look great.
Oh my god, that one level, Ryan, where we had to like jump just a little bit to go over a saw, bounce up to a wall that was just to our right, just to drop down and then double jump again was like, that was a bitch. It took me forever to figure that out right away.
I know. I had John helping me, and I still died like 70 times.
Yeah, so like I got through it like a couple days prior, and I go, Ryan, you got to try it out, like, right now. When was it? Probably like Saturday, I think you had it, where I said go ahead and give it a shot. So I'm just sitting behind him, like, okay, you're gonna do this, this, and this, and he just kept dying. I'm like, Ryan, like, I'm giving you such clear directions on what to do here.
John has all the skill.
Yeah, I got all the skills. Like, it took me a bit to get past it, but once I started progressing through the different levels, like, all right, cool. Like, I get the concept, and it's once you figure out like the distance before you get slashed or broken into bits, it becomes pretty straightforward. So that's nice. It had, seriously, like, it had a great amount of challenge to it, but at the same time, the simplicity of it was awesome, because it was like, it was hard, but it wasn't too hard, at least with what we did.
It's tough but fair. It's definitely one of those games where, like, that you're the one making the mistake.
We hear that all the time. That's like
Yeah.
one of those things everyone tells us.
I'm
Yeah,
glad that's what we're going for, so that's good.
So one of the ways that Ryan and I gauge games whenever we play them on a weekly basis, if you haven't heard a prior episode, is we try to take about 30 minutes, sometimes an hour. We'll sit back, we'll play a game, and we look at that from an aspect of that's about as much time as you would spend playing a demo, right? And that's where you can kind of gauge, like, is this game worth the time and effort that I'm going to put into it, as well as a financial investment? And so with Kickbot, we were within probably 10-15 minutes of playing this, and it's like, yeah, we could totally keep playing this. Like, it was worth it. Yeah, 100%. So Ryan, I think you had a question regarding the controls for this.
Yeah, so I really like that it's like this simple 2-button control style. Is that something that you guys, I mean, you kind of mentioned it earlier, but like, is that something you guys started at that point, or did you kind of pare down to that? Do you like working in that kind of limited space and seeing what you can pull out of that?
Yeah, the game originally, so it was based on this original game we did in 2014 that was when, if you remember Flappy Bird, that when he took his game off the store, a bunch of like indies were trying to make games to like support him because he was getting a lot of backlash, and we decided we were going to make a game like similar to Flappy Bird in that it was like really hard and very basic in terms of buttons and stuff. And that's how we made Kickbot, and it was just a 2-button game. And we thought about, instead of like going sideways, going up. And when we built this game, we wanted to just like keep that. Like we left the phone where you don't have a lot of buttons, and we put it on. We wanted to do a PC console game, but it's just like you don't need to overcomplicate it with too many buttons. We're trying to see how much you can get out of it. Like we went and tried to make a list of all the moves that you can do, all the different weird things that you can do just with the 2 buttons, and we've got like 30 different things, and we use that like rubric of moves to like design levels for the game.
Yeah,
Sorry.
No, go on.
All the decisions in the level design are all based on how you can move and what ways are fun to move. And so if there's some combination of waiting and then sliding down and then pressing a button, and that's fun or exciting or scary or whatever, then we try to make levels or rooms around that.
Gotcha. One of the cool things that I liked is when we're playing the one level where you initially it's kind of like the ground pound where you have to hit the left, the 2 keys at the same time to fall down. I liked how on the wall you guys had the directions on there on like what actually needed to occur. So it was like throughout that level, it's like, yeah. And what's funny is I missed it at first. I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do here? Like I can't get down to this particular part, and I keep getting destroyed. But as I progress up, I'm like, oh crap! Like in the background, it literally has the directions of what I'm supposed to do. So it was actually a nice touch going through. I mean, it's one thing when like, cause I don't know if on the demo you guys included like the controls within the actual demo options or anything. I just went straight into it. So for me, I'm just like, what's going on here? Like, why can't I do this? Oh, okay. There's something on the wall that's telling me to do this instead. And it worked out.
I've got a follow up. I'd only played on the PC using the arrow keys as direction. So how is this going to work on console with like a joystick?
You stole my question, Ryan. I was literally about to ask him that. I was literally going to ask.
So with controllers, since we want this to be a console game, you would start off with the bumpers or the triggers as the 2 buttons.
Okay.
You can right now the demo on Steam has full controller support, so you can use pretty much any controller that you can hook up to your computer. And we recommend starting off with the triggers or bumpers, whichever one feels more comfortable to you. And it's only 2 buttons, so we decided to map the rest of the controller to those 2 buttons. So you can also use like A and B, or like one combination that I find kind of comfortable is left on the D-pad and B. So you can use 2 thumbs. But you can also use the D-pad, left and right on the D-pad, but it doesn't work well for doing the butt stomp because you can't press.
That seems tricky.
Yeah, so I'd recommend using the bumpers or triggers.
That's actually what I envisioned for that, Ryan. Made the most sense.
I was just thinking about Joy-Con drift. I was like, how's that going to work?
Well, there's no bumper drift.
No bumper drift. Exactly.
No bumper
Safe.
drift. So, gotta ask you guys. So, for any aspiring game developers out there, How do you get into this? Like, how did you guys decide all of a sudden, we want to make video games?
I mean, for me at least, I've always like ever since I got a Super Nintendo, I've been curious about how the games get made. I didn't really know how that happened when I was 8 years old, but I would draw characters for games that I would make up and stuff, and I was drawing all my life. I got into like Flash animation and stuff in high school, and then I kind of after a while I realized once I did some more research and stuff, I realized that making a game I would have to join a company, and there would be hundreds or more people on the team, and my job would end up being like making one small aspect of the game, and I got kind of discouraged. So I kind of put that away and did web development and stuff for a while. And then I saw Indie Game the movie, which was pretty inspiring for me because I hadn't really heard of these small teams that were making games. And of course, they always existed because like even id Software and stuff started off as a really small team. But like people now can have the tools available to them to make stuff if they want to. So like if you wanted to start now, my biggest suggestion would be to look into a game engine like Unity or something, and then just find tutorials on it and try to learn from that. Find something that has a community behind it so you can ask questions. And game jams are really cool because they are these little events where you get to a lot of times join a team. And some of them are in person, which doesn't really work with coronavirus now. But when things get back to normal, it'll be great. Game jams are cool because you can join a team with people who have made games before, or just join a team with everybody starting from scratch and learn together. And so like we've done something like 20 game jams now, and so starting small with something is the way to go. Like if you have an idea for a game, a lot of times people have their dream game idea, and it's like a MMORPG with roguelike, elements and all this other stuff. And it's like, just start with getting a box on your screen that you can move with the arrow keys.
And I mean, if you guys don't mind me asking, but for somebody that's looking to get into this, what's kind of like the initial cost to get everything kind of set up to get your get the programming and stuff needed to start getting your foot in the door as well as starting to create a game?
I mean, basically everything's free as long as you've got a laptop, or a computer.
Yeah, I mean the tools have never been more accessible. It's just like there's tons of information and tools out there. Just the hard part is just the motivation to keep at it, because you're going to suck at first, and the first games that you make, games plural, the first games you make are going to suck. And so the game jam thing is nice because you get to make a lot of mistakes quickly, so you get to make lots of little small games and learn what like I really doubt that anybody's first thing that they work on is the thing that anybody else is going to see but like close friends or whatever. So just get them all out of the way until you have more practice.
So the key things are it's cost effective in a sense, right, to get involved in this. There's a community for support, so never get discouraged. And of course, don't get discouraged because you're going to screw up.
Yeah.
All right.
Practice. I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, nobody really wants to hear that, but you just have to spend hundreds of hours on it.
Yeah.
You have to be stubborn.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys mentioned earlier you had done like an earlier version of Kickbot in the past.
Yeah. So we originally released because we started off, we're both web developers was our day job at the time, and we still do a lot of that. But we'd started off with making games with JavaScript, so they're like games that run in the browser. So it's kind of like the new version of Flash games, because it's like something that people can just go to a web page and they could try it out, but it doesn't require Flash. Anyway, the first couple of games that we made were like these JavaScript game jam games that run in the browser. And we found out that Chromebooks were a thing where they could run these apps that were basically just websites. And so you could make a Chrome app, a Chrome Web Store app, and release a game and kind of package it up and put it on their store platform. And so we just put out Kickbot on there for free with no ads or anything. We just wanted to, say, hey, people, check this out. And somebody who curates the games on the Chrome Web Store must have seen it and thought it was pretty cool because it got featured on the homepage. And the Chrome Web Store is not like a huge platform, and it's honestly mostly kids using Chromebooks in schools. And so our game had like between 50 and 70,000 people playing per week. And
Wow.
from what I could tell, they were all like young, 13-year-old kids playing it when they're supposed to be doing their work in school.
Man,
You
that's
guys were the new Oregon Trail,
yeah.
distracting kids.
That's a straight up flashback to like elementary school, man. I remember just sitting back in computer class, like screwing around. We were supposed to actually be doing work.
Yeah.
Except kids nowadays have, faster internet than we did. I mean, what did we have? Like not even dial up when we were growing up, man.
I just remember those AOL CDs.
Oh my God. So one thing I'm kind of curious about is, obviously you told us we're going to see Kickbot on consoles and Steam. So which consoles in particular? And are there any plans for a physical release later on through like one of those limited, release companies that are out there?
So we're going to be on consoles, but we can't announce what consoles yet, unfortunately.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
coming soon. Keep a watch on our Twitter account, Two Scoop Games. We'll announce it there and on our Discord first. But we are definitely going to be on at least a couple of consoles. And so I'm really excited about that because I was a console gamer growing up, and I still, I was always a Nintendo fanboy, and we're hoping to be on all of them if we can, but can't announce anything yet.
So follow-up question, you might be able to answer this one. Current generation or upcoming generation or both?
Love to be on both.
All right.
Kickbot with ray tracing in 4K, 60 frames live.
That's the great thing about Kickbot. It's it's 160p resolution, high res graphics. We went with the Game Boy Advance screen size resolution, so it's like if you took a Game Boy Advance and made the screen 16:9, so it's a little wider, but it's still 160 tall.
Hey, look,
So-
I've got the Super Game Boy here, so if you guys release a physical Game Boy copy, hook me up.
That would be
Yeah, I'll play it on my TV.
I always wanted an excuse to make an NES port.
There you go. Actually, that'd be pretty sweet, man. Get a retro style port out for that.
Yeah, I could probably do the original Kickbot game in NES. I did a workshop once, and it was pretty neat.
Nice. That'd be pretty badass, I think.
To answer your physical game question, we don't have any plans, nothing's in the works, but I would really like that. That would be super cool.
Do you guys
limited run or I'm 8-bit if you're listening?
is there like, do you guys know what the process is on that? Like how to even, get a game through them? Does it have to have like a certain amount of downloads before it's even considered for that type of release?
So I don't know too much about it, but recently a friend of mine who got a game their game physically released on Switch, I think they have a limited run on Switch. The game's called Pig Eat Ball. They told me that I should get in touch with somebody, and I think that I'm definitely going to do that soon just to see what the process is.
We'd love to see it.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, man, if physical release gets released, you see what's behind me here. So it'll be on the shelf for sure.
Nice.
So let's see, what else we got here before we let you guys go. Just looking through all of our questions. I think the next one here is to just let us know where we can find you. Where can we get that Kickbot demo? Where can we see you guys on social media? For all those crazy updates, you just told us Twitter, but where else can we get you guys?
Yeah, so we're Two Scoop Games, TWOSCOOPGAMES on everything pretty much. Twitter and Instagram are the main ones I post on. We have a Discord, discord.gg/2scoopgames. And that is our community of all these people that we've met at different expos and things that we've gone to, people that speed run the game and people who our beta testers for the game or just fans from different shows that we've done. And then Steam is the main thing. I mean, right now we just released our first demo on Steam this week, and so you can go to wishlist.kickbotgame.com, and that'll take you right to the Steam page. And the name of the URL tells you what to do. Please wishlist the game.
Ryan, you got any follow questions for Alex and Eric here before we let them go?
Yes, I love the name Two Scoop. Where'd that come from?
We're both ice cream lovers.
Yep.
What's your favorite flavor?
Chocolate peanut butter, probably.
Oh yeah. So my answer is basically the same. I mean, there's a Buckeye Blitz at a place called Grater's Ice Cream here. It's amazing. Also love Ben and Jerry's. There's a I think it's called One Love. It's like the Bob Marley flavor. It's got banana and cinnamon. And oh man, Ben and Jerry's is good.
Hold on. What's Buckeye Blitz? Is it a brand or is it a flavor?
That's the flavor. The place is called Grater's.
Okay, hold on. What's in a Buckeye Blitz?
A Buckeye is a candy from Ohio that's kind of like a peanut butter cup.
Yeah.
It's chocolate with peanut butter. It's shaped like a nut on a Buckeye tree that has to do with Ohio. That's like the Ohio State Buckeyes or whatever.
It's like a round Reese's cup.
Okay.
So
That
it's
sounds
just
good.
chocolate ice cream with those in there. But any fancy ice cream place that has good ice cream, I'm down.
So really just
Yeah.
ice cream.
Yep.
Oh yeah. First question when I get to a new city is like, what's the best ice cream around here?
Oh, nice.
Don't ask in Arizona, man. Ryan, I can't think of anywhere around here.
I mean, we've got Cold Stone as kind of like the Arizona ice
but
cream place.
That's everywhere though. You can get Cold Stone wherever. We
Oh,
don't have
is
that.
it? I thought it was an Arizona thing.
No, man. I used to get Cold Stone out in Florida.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, we had that in
Yeah.
California and we have that here. So Cold Stone's everywhere.
Yeah, Cold
I'm
Stone's
not
everywhere, man.
up on my ice cream knowledge, I guess.
Yeah, we got to hang out with the guys from Two Scoop Games. They'll tell us everything we need to know about ice cream.
That's true.
Need to
Yep.
make a map.
Yeah.
We could have a page on our website with a map of the best ice cream places.
There you
There
go,
we
man. That'd be the best way to get some traffic on that website.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we definitely appreciate you coming on and doing an interview with us. We really look forward to seeing the full game. And, best of luck on finalizing everything, your release on Steam, on consoles. We can't wait to see what it comes out on. And, seriously, it's great work. We really enjoyed it.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
All right, so all of our listeners, that is going to be Alex and Eric of Two Scoop Games with their game Kickbot. So definitely go check it out. And here's the rest of the episode. All right, well, we hope you guys enjoyed that interview of Alex and Eric of the Two Scoop Games team and Kickbot. Definitely go check it out. That game comes out in early 2021. We had a blast with it. Go check out their website. Go
Find
check out
that
the demo.
demo.
Yeah, find that demo. It's actually really cool. So
It'll
did
take
enjoy
some
that.
time. It'll take some of your time.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's just fun. It honestly reminded me of some of those classic games and platformers and such that I played in the past. And of course, the wall jumping is just, dude, the mechanics are smooth in that game. I like it. It's great. So our first article here today, we've got Sega's next retro console could be the Dreamcast Mini, says producer. And this
Or-
is there's an or. Okay.
It could be the SG-1000.
Yeah, nobody wants that. So
Does
this
anybody even know? I've never even heard of the
It
SG-1000.
said Australia, New Zealand, and Japan, so I'm guessing, at least for us, we wouldn't know, and we don't have any major listenership outside of, maybe a couple people in Australia and New Zealand, so if you're hearing us from those two countries, let us know. All right, so this is by Andy Robinson of Video Game Chronicle. I think they have a podcast as well, so check them out. But, dude, so what are your thoughts on this? We've talked about, in the past, a Sega Saturn Mini, but the idea of a Dreamcast Mini, skipping over the Sega Genesis / Mega Drive and going right into Dreamcast seems kind of crazy. Why not go the Saturn route? Why not go the route of Nintendo? Is it because the Saturn wasn't as popular? Is it because you screwed up with the Game Gear Mini and need something bigger that was more mainstream? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Okay, I'm trying to look something up here to see how many SNES classics were sold.
Oh, that I don't know. That's
So I can't find that number, but the Dreamcast, according to Google, had 9.13 million sales. So I don't know if a Dreamcast Mini would be that successful, but we know the Dreamcast wasn't successful the first time, and you know, Sony really screwed the pooch on their PS1 classic, and that didn't sell so great. You know, neither you or I bought it until it dropped down to $20.
well, it went back up. Funny enough, after that.
Well, it's just interesting because like the Dreamcast it failed so hard when it came out, and there's a lot of, you know, other things going on besides just what it was. You know, like the rampant piracy and all that stuff was issues as well. I'm just wondering, a Sega Dreamcast Mini, it sounds so great. Like, I know that there's a lot of people now that never had the chance to get like a new Saturn back in the day. They would probably love to jump on this opportunity, but I just don't know how successful you can turn a failure into with a second bite at the apple, when like the PlayStation 1 did so tremendously good when it first came out and then absolutely failed. And I mean, Nintendo's really been the only person that's ever hit this like out of the park, and that's because of the scarcity that they generate for themselves. Like the SNES Classic and the NES Classic did so well because there were so few for a while, and people got really spooked that they wouldn't be able to get them. And also Nintendo just kind of people really feel pulled to buy Nintendo stuff again.
So
you cannot own too many copies of the same Nintendo games.
That's true. Here's a couple things to keep in mind, though. So the TurboGrafx 16 Mini has done very well. The main reason I feel because of that, for one thing, TurboGrafx 16 is super flippin' expensive, right, to get in those games. I've got 3 games sitting here, like $300-something total. Like, it's insane. And a complete in-box console, I think, sells for like $800.
Do you have Dreamcast games?
Yeah, I got them back here, and I got a Dreamcast. We played Dreamcast games. We played Jet Grind Radio.
Oh yeah, I did. I just don't even see them on your shelf.
We hardly ever play them. We also played that Expendables game a long time ago.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And we also played Dynamite Cop.
Oh, okay.
We should play. Oh, that'd be a good one for the Halloween month. Blue Stinger, because it's a horror game. Okay, so besides that, so TurboGrafx 16, there's a lot of great games in there. I mean, just off the top of my head, you know, I think E1 and 2 are on there, and those are just classic games that people want to get their hands on. There's lots of games that came from the PC Engine, so really the Japanese releases that are on there. So you have your mix of American games, or really US-based games, and then Japanese games, really English and US-based games. English and Japanese games. Geez, I'm mixing it all up. But you've got a good mix of that, right? And there's a lot of titles on there. Whereas when we initially saw the PS1 list, we were like, this isn't very good.
Yeah, these aren't even the best. Well, and it was also kind of screwed because like the Crash remakes and the Spyro remakes, like things that you would expect to be on a PS Classic, were kind of in their own spotlight at that time.
Yeah, so think about this. Say, for example, you get like, I think it's Rival Schools 3 technically, or Rival Schools 2 is on the Dreamcast, I believe, exclusively. It's like Project something, I forget the name. You've also
Power Stone.
You've got Power Stone 1 and 2 on there. You've got Blue Stinger is one of those horror games that's on there. You've got Knights. You've got
Sonic Adventure.
Elemental Gimmick Gear is on there. So like, there's a lot of different games that were on the Dreamcast that never did get released on other consoles over time, and even haven't had like remasters or anything along those lines. So I think that not necessarily because it was popular, but because nowadays people look at the Dreamcast and go, wow, that was a good console, and we probably should have stuck with that. It's just when you had the whole like rampant piracy that was going on with that console, of people being able to burn Dreamcast games, plus the ability, or plus
just the competition it was up against.
I mean, you had the GameCube, which just had the success of the N64 backing it, plus the PS2, and then the Xbox to put into that.
Yeah.
Like, come on, like there's no way that thing, one of them was not going to survive, and it happened to be Sega. And, you know, it is what it is.
Well, and Sega does already have like mini versions of like the Saturn and the Genesis, but I mean, you can find those just sitting around at like an Office Max. Like,
no, the Saturn doesn't have anything, does it?
Oh, there's no Saturn?
No.
Is it just the Genesis?
It's just a Genesis.
Okay, I know that I've seen the Genesis one there, and it's just like, I didn't even know this was a thing. Like, Sega's lack of publicity pushing those type of things.
Yeah.
Like, in my mind, I don't know, maybe I just wasn't up on that when that came out, or
And like, I'm personally going to buy a Genesis Mini when it goes down, because right now it's like $50 and I've seen them go for 40, but I have no interest in buying a Genesis Mini as it stands right now for that price
there's
point.
just not enough pull. And I feel like the
Well, and a lot of the
Dreamcast
games
Mini
on it
would
I
have a
have.
lot of pull. A lot of people would want this, but like, you got to pay $100 for it?
No, I mean, I don't think Sega would put it $100. I think they would do a nice sweet spot like 60, and that wouldn't be an issue. If I saw the Dreamcast Mini for $60, I'd likely pick that up compared to, a Sega Mini sitting at like 40, for example. Like, I'd be more inclined to pick that console up, only because I don't have a lot of Dreamcast games, for one thing. And just the idea of having all those Dreamcast games on one little console would be great.
And knowing how easy it was to pirate all the games the first time.
It wouldn't be so hard to do it the second time. No, I mean, in all seriousness, I do think a Dreamcast Mini would be pretty successful here in the States. I think it's a console that a lot of people wish would have been successful, and there wasn't enough backing at that period of time. And now that all of us have grown up, we're like, wow, we definitely should have kind of backed this more. And man, it would be so awesome to have Sega as a hardware company still today.
Well,
like, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, a few things that I think are kind of holding that back from maybe being a possibility are kind of the same things that I think are maybe holding Nintendo back from doing like an N64 Mini. Is there's just something about like the more modern controllers, like once you jump up from just like a flat controller and you start to add joysticks and stuff, I feel like that price gets pushed way up. And also the Dreamcast is a 4-port console, right?
It is.
So you're not
same
going to
with-
pack it with 4 controllers. So you're going to have to like
Sell
either
them
have
in
a
advance.
friend that has one. They could bring over their extra controllers or sell extra controllers, and now you're marketing more than one thing. Like once you start, there's a lot of
not
peripheral
necessarily.
stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you got the peripherals, that's fine. I don't
The
see them.
VMU, there'd be no real need for the VMU because
yeah.
all the memory is going to be in the system, and I don't know how much
You'd probably
people
just build
love
that
the VMU.
You'd probably just build that in from a. It'd be interesting if they had Dreamcast controllers that had the VMU already inside, and you got to see, because like when you start up a new game, a little pixelated version of it comes up on the VMU, right? It'd be pretty cool if they had it in a way that when you booted up the system, a little pixelated version came up on a VMU that's already like in this controller. But
See, that's an even more expensive controller now.
it is, but at the same time, like, I think it's a specialized market, and I think if you kind of set those expectations and make that scarcity in a sense that
But are you
Nintendo
gonna
has done.
push it over $100? How many people are going to buy it when you
Well,
push it over $100?
I mean, what?
because that's kind of the whole idea of this is like, look, here's a cute
Say
little
it
taste
was
of
80.
nostalgia.
Say it was 80 and you got one controller with it, and if you wanted to pick up extra controllers, they were $30. Like, it's not to say that no, I don't want to buy 3 other controllers for $30 a pop, but if you had that one controller, like, at the end of the day, if you're charging $79.99 and you get a VMU based controller, and then you have other controllers you can pick up, say they don't have VMUs on them, those other controllers, that would be pretty cool. And I think that would really target our generation and would get some sales in there. And if you make it scarce like Nintendo does, and not to say I agree with the practices, but it's a smart practice.
But
If you
does
make it
Sega
scarce,
have that confidence?
well, I don't know.
Like, Nintendo knows that they
they're-
can just shortchange the market like that because they're Nintendo. But like, if Sega's gonna go out on a limb and try to make something cool, like, are they gonna be? I mean, it might actually make sense to make less than you think you need because like
and then
it
build to
didn't do
it.
so hot the first time.
Yeah, and then build to it. I mean, take a page out of Nintendo's book. I mean, they're both Japanese companies. They talk about these things, I'm sure.
It's an interesting topic. Like,
Yeah. So to be clear, though, they did say on here that they wouldn't have plans to release something like this for at least a year or two. So there is some time to speculate and think of what's going to happen. But I think this is part of it, though, right? Like you mentioned something like this to kind of test the waters and really see where the market's at and excitement. And if it builds up, then you're like, okay, cool. Like, we should totally release this and launch it, because they failed so hard with the Fog Gaming and the Game Gear. Like, that was so lackluster. We were
I
all
want that
thinking-
little Game Gear. I want
yeah.
those little Game Gears.
I don't. It's not worth it. So let us know, of course, what you think in the comments.
Let us know if you have those little Game Gears.
Let us know if you have little Game Gears as well. Okay, the next big thing here before we move on to our inflation deflation challenge of the week. GameStop and Microsoft have announced a new strategic partnership, and this is by Mark Deschamps at comicbook.com. So the overall thing here that we're looking at is Microsoft is putting an investment into GameStop in the sense of giving them Microsoft Surface tablets really to have in hand. I think it's Office 365 or some sort of variation of it to have for their purchases. And they are also going to be allowing GameStop, by selling the all access within their stores, get a cut of that revenue lifetime. So if you bought all access at a particular location, that location would see a benefit from your subscription. So they would get a cut of that on a monthly basis. Seems pretty straightforward to me, to be honest. And I imagine they'll try to work out some sort of similar deal with Sony and maybe even Nintendo down the road to get that type of cut from revenue, which in the next generation of games, or upcoming generation, I think that's smart by GameStop. And then there's the whole thing of backwards compatibility.
Do you think this is smart by GameStop, or do you think this is smart by Microsoft? Like, I don't remember reading in the article who approached who for this deal.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't get all of those details in there, but I would say that it
seems like Microsoft is the one doing the giving here. So I have a feeling Microsoft came down and was like, hey, GameStop, we see you doing bad down there trying to push all these Funkos. Let's give you a hand. Let's push all this weird stuff you got going on here out of the way.
Don't forget the Mega Bloks and plushies too.
Have some new computers. Let's get you guys off of Windows XP. Have You
mean they weren't using Windows 95 at GameStop?
Right.
I was wondering why it took so long to look up my info. Yeah, so I could see this both ways, right? So Microsoft obviously coming in with that predatory approach, right? Of, hey, there's a company over here floundering and we can jump in there and we could get a huge share of his pie from the used game market. And with our backwards compatibility and GameStop's ability to bring in used games, that's a good push, right? For our console. Like all of these Xbox games, Xbox One, 360, original Xbox, you can play all of that on a new console. Here's all access. I can see that from Microsoft as a bonus, right? But I think GameStop makes out a little better here just because of all the financial issues they've had over the last year and all the BS that they've had to deal with, or really all of us have had to deal with. So I do see it both ways. I see it very complementary of one another. And if GameStop Corporation can go in and say like, hey, Sony, we're doing this with Microsoft. We want to do something similar. Hey, Nintendo, we want to do something similar. Hey, Sega, why don't you bring that mini over here as like an exclusive, something along those lines. These are ways that I think GameStop can really bolster that revenue. And it's got to be part of like Reggie's
Are you sure
plan.
they can't just sell more non-video game stuff? Like, it's been doing great for them so far.
It has been. All those t-shirts that you can buy from GameStop, yeah, they're fantastic.
All those expensive figures.
Actually, for people listening, if you haven't noticed before, GameStop actually has a pretty cool like deal of the day. If you've never seen that, where they have like some Funko Pops like $5, you can get t-shirts for like $8 all the time, like crazy stuff. Some video games, they just have like flash sales for like 24 hours, or it's like $3 to $4.
Whatever you can do to bring them in.
Yeah, whatever you can do. And so those are great because that monthly, which speaking of which, I got to go in, that monthly $5 certificate we get as part of a pro membership, you can use that towards those new items, which is actually kind of cool.
Well, I wonder how much money GameStop is planning on losing to, or has lost up to date from Game Pass. Like, Game Pass has got to be a huge blow to like the used, Microsoft Xbox game market, because like so many of those games that are on there are great games that you'd actually love to play, and they're even cheaper than going and buying a used copy. Like, people that just want to play the games and people that go in and buy used copies, like, you go in to buy used copies to, throw into your collection, or if it's something that you think you can flip for more because they've got it listed cheap or whatever. But I'm sure there's plenty of people that go in, buy a used game, trade that game in to buy another used game. You just keep it as like a library card that costs you however much the difference is between how much you traded in for and how much you bought it for. So like, I don't know. There's so much stuff that Microsoft is trying to push with like going digital. It's kind of interesting to see them try to plant firmly into a physical kind of place.
Yeah, no, I totally feel you on that. And honestly, I'm not fully sure where this would, where they've maybe lost money from a thing like Game Pass. But I think this is all part of their evolution as a company, too. Because we had seen reports of different GameStops opening up with, like, I guess, like play hubs in a sense, where you go in and you can play PC games and whatnot. And
Yeah, they've got like tabletop areas.
Yeah, it's more like what you see in mom and pop shops. And like if GameStop evolves to that level and we start seeing them sell things like Magic cards and hosting tournaments and doing that, I can see them surviving even beyond this coming generation. But if they don't continue to evolve the way they need to and go in that direction, they're going to be gone. Like,
Well, and those larger type of stores that I can't remember where they were testing some. We covered it a while ago.
I think it was in like the Dakotas, if I'm correct. It was
Yeah,
like
somewhere weird.
Yeah.
But, those larger kind of stores, that lends to that, hey, I'm the GameStop employee. I've got a Surface in my hand. I'm going to walk around like I work at the Apple store and help people and chat with people. But it's like so many of those GameStops are so claustrophobic and just like a hole in the wall. Like,
well, now you
they're
have the
probably
whole,
more
like,
comfortable standing behind a counter than just walking around trying to dodge the towers of whatever merch are out in the middle of the store.
Well, and we have the whole thing of like COVID and staying 6 feet and all of that. So like that's been a blessing because now I don't have GameStop employees coming up behind me, scaring me, asking me if they can help. Like, so that's
Would you like
nice.
to reserve anything?
Would you like to reserve
What are you going to
anything?
buy today? Can I sell you a digital code for that instead of the actual game?
Yeah, can I help you out? Is there anything that you're looking for? Like, if there was something I was looking for, I would have come to the counter and asked you if you had it in stock, or I would have gone to the shelf and then gone over to you. Like, you don't have to ask me 10 times.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous. But yeah, so let us know what you think about that.
I want to make a bet real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
I bet in 5 years we have GameStop Microsoft GameStop stores where they're going to be like, Microsoft is going to move in and they're going to start selling because the Microsoft stores haven't really done as hot as like the Apple stores. So you could like half convert some of those. You've got those GameStops where you can go in and play the games on the computers and stuff. Those will all be Microsoft computers. I think they're going to buy them.
It's almost like it'll be like GameStop Series S. That'd be interesting.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. Hey, so...
GameStop XP.
GameStop. Nice. So before we get into inflation deflation for this week, I think you got some trivia for me over there.
Oh, yes, I do. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, you got to boot that up. I got to see how I fail in trivia. So, of course, we did do that trivia episode last week, so go ahead and catch that one. And just continuing on with some of this weekly trivia that we got, what does Ryan have to offer and throw my way? Did you really lose the trivia?
I did.
You did lose it. Do you even remember what the trivia question was?
I remember what the answer was.
Okay, so ask your own question that works with that answer. If you lose that trivia, dude, I just worked up that trivia in my my little
Where
promo
was it?
here for
I
it.
had the page open still, and it's gone.
So just like his video games, Ryan can just not seem to keep control over his browser. You're killing us, man.
Oh my god.
All right, well,
Just
we're gonna time it out here.
yeah, just do
All
it.
right, we're gonna come to a quick commercial break as Ryan tries to find the trivia answer. And we're back.
All right, John. What is the Japanese name for the Sega Master System?
Oh God, there was a Japanese name for the Sega Master System.
There sure was.
Okay. Any hints here?
It isn't the first, and it isn't the second.
It's not the first or the second, so it's not Sega Master System 1 or 2. Because I think there was a 1 or 2 on those. God. What the heck was it?
Actually, that was kind of a bad hint, because apparently in the PAL region, it was the second.
I don't know, man. I really don't.
The Japanese Sega Mark III
Okay, yeah, there was no way I was getting that. My mind was not even close to that
Yeah,
one.
so North America, European Master System, and then there was the Sega Mark III and the PAL Master System 2.
Man. Okay. You got me on that one.
Yeah, I was racking my brain, folks. I had a really good trivia question earlier, and then I couldn't find the answer to the trivia question because it was gonna require way too much research.
Was that the one that you were looking for?
Yeah,
just now?
yeah.
Okay.
I had this answer, but I couldn't find the question.
Oh, you couldn't. Okay.
Well, I didn't want to say, like, you know me and Sega. I didn't want to say, what's the Japanese Genesis called? When I'm really talking about the Master System.
I gotcha. Well,
and we were just talking about that SG-1000. I still don't know what that is, and that's listed here.
yeah. Well, people got to listen to some intermission music, so it worked out. Okay. So,
I will do better next time, I promise. Always in second place when it comes to trivia.
You know, Smokey the Bear has... No, is it Smokey the Bear? No, Smokey the Bear tells us no forest fires. Who tells us always be prepared? I don't remember. I don't know. That's never a trivia question. Somebody tells us be prepared. I don't remember.
A Scar.
He does.
Scar from the Lion King.
He does, in musical form. Okay, we're going to get sued by Disney now. All right, so...
Jack-booted lion.
All right, dude. So, inflation, deflation of the week. This week was Super Mario Strikers on the GameCube, developed by Next Level Games, published by Nintendo, designed by Brandon Gill, and this was released in December of 2005. It's a sports game with reception of around 7.5 overall. So, let's get into it. I completely demolished you in this game.
Yes, he did. And for 2 weeks, he hasn't been holding it over my head too hard.
No, not at all. Mainly because Ryan just hasn't been here for 2 weeks.
Thank God.
Yeah. So now that we're here, Ryan, I demolished you in that game.
Yeah, you totally did. But you know what? It is a ton of fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great game. I have heard so many good things about this game, and never, ever have I played it. And I regret not playing it. Like, this would have been so much fun back when I had my GameCube. You know, to sit around and play with friends, this would have been awesome. I don't know how it never happened, but I wish that I could go back in time and do that.
So Mario sports games for me have always just been a lot of fun, hence why I beat you in tennis. I will likely beat you in golf whenever we play that. Baseball, you shouldn't even attempt it. I will. Baseball's actually my best.
Sluggers?
Oh, yeah. That is, well, whatever it is on the GameCube. I think Super Sluggers is on the
Something
Wii.
like that.
So, yeah, I will absolutely... If you thought soccer was bad... You don't want to play me in Mario Baseball.
I have a theory. I can't remember. I was watching a video a couple days ago. No, this was the FIFA thing. I was there. News flash, breaking news. FIFA 21 Legacy is garbage. Don't buy it. It's just not worth your time or money. But I watched a video about that, and I was thinking about Mario Strikers, because that's a soccer game. And I was thinking about the Mario baseball game, and I also saw another video that was about like
sports mix,
about like Mario sports games and stuff. And you know, the Mario tennis and the Mario golf have had way more entries, and those are kind of like the least interesting of those sports. Like, objectively, like, you know, baseball and soccer, I think, are more interesting, like, video games to play than golf and tennis.
Oh, and then you have Mario, I think it's 3-on-3 basketball, if I'm correct, on the 3DS. And I want to say there's basketball on the Wii version, too.
But there's only, like, a couple entries of those games. And I'm wondering if the popularity of games like MLB The Show, FIFA games, and...
if those kind of prevent Nintendo from wanting to produce more of them.
Yeah, like, I
or they're
wonder...
just not as critical of a success.
Well, because FIFA, I know they're not super popular, EA, on Nintendo. Like, they don't really push onto Nintendo consoles as comfortably. And I wonder if there's some kind of tension between, like, the Mario sports and the real sports games that makes it, like, how many people are playing, like, I'm sure there's like a tennis pro game, and I know there was like Tiger Woods golf games and PGA games and stuff in the past too, and probably still currently, but I don't know. That's just something to throw in there as a side note. Like, I wonder if there's not as many Mario soccer games because FIFA's so popular.
I mean, it's a strong possibility. Maybe the market just isn't there for them, but Looking at this game overall, the only thing I can put against it would likely be, I'd say the character selection just wasn't like
Not
as
enough.
big of a roster as you would expect. And it would be nice instead of having to go like, hey, I'm going to pick Mario as my captain, and then the rest of them are Koopas, or the rest are going to be Birdos or Toads.
I think it just makes it easier to keep an eye on who your team is without trying to remember individual players.
Well, that's why you have the colors. So
That's
I mean,
true, too.
So that's part of that uniform aspect. Because if you look at it from a FIFA standpoint, you have the colors. That's
Yeah.
how you can keep track of your players, and then the ability to obviously pass to your own players. But I had a lot of fun with it. It kind of reminded me of NHL Hits, actually, in a way.
You destroyed me at that, too.
Because I didn't destroy an NHL Hits, but if we do play that, I will destroy
We played
you.
some hockey game that you wrecked me in.
On the SNES. And yes, I did destroy you on the Wayne Gretzky's like 1997 All-Stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good too. So I would have to say this game in particular, I think it's great from a standpoint of the gameplay mechanics were awesome. I think it's a quick version of a FIFA, so you get that same kind of feel and fun that you would get in a FIFA.
Score's way too high. Totally unrealistic soccer game.
Score is
Nobody
way too high.
7-0s anybody in real soccer.
Oh, I 7-0 people in FIFA. Provided they're
Real
not like
soccer,
masters of FIFA. Usually it's when it's an exhibition game against a really bad team.
1-1.
It's usually 7-0 in those
1-2.
cases. So, yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. I liked having Waluigi just go like, wow, and put his arms out every time he scored a goal to be like, look
The
at
Wah
me.
Master.
It was awesome. So, I would have to say, if I was giving this game a review, I know it had reviews of 7.5.
7.5 is about the average. It's got some 8s. It's got some low 7s.
I'd say like 8.5, man. Like, this game's a lot of fun. It's totally worth it. I like it. So, what is your opinion before we get into the brass tacks here on price point?
I liked it. I really did. Like I said, I wish I could go back and play this game at a younger age where I had more time to like really get into it. Because like you obviously trust me because you've got some experience with this game, and
I actually had never played this one.
I've probably played a soccer game. I shouldn't say I've never played a soccer game, but I don't remember ever
The
playing
thing
a
with some of
soccer
these
game.
games is I've played a lot of hockey games in the past.
Similar.
And the way that you play both the passing structure and even basketball games too, like it's just very similar. It comes second nature to me, these types of
Okay.
games. So like that,
I don't have the fundamentals.
we can pick up any sports game and I'll likely trounce you in it.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
Yeah. Okay, so overall,
I think it's great.
okay, cool. So brass tacks here, we've got complete in box is currently sitting at $56.61. That peaked at $61.95.
I left it off, but that was August of 2020.
Oh, okay, so pandemic special. And then trending downwards right now, which is to be expected. And then loose, we're sitting at $41.15, peaking August 2020 at $43, and that's also trending down.
So this was just up there. Just recently. This was at
Yeah.
its climax.
So what was pre-pandemic? Do you know offhand? Would it be an F40 range? Because that sounds about right.
I'll look it up. Hold on.
Okay. So as it stands, regardless, dude, I honestly, with these sports games like this, I would say $56. If you had the choice between a new FIFA game and Mario Strikers, I'd buy Mario Strikers hands down over FIFA. Even though it had a limited roster, I just think that, with the crap that EA has pulled over the years and, like that legacy roster update that they're charging full price for, this is just a game that you can sit back with some friends and have a blast playing, and it doesn't have that competitive like atmosphere going for it. What'd you end up finding?
Okay, so the game has been in pretty close, like within $1 of each other, loose and complete for maybe within $3 or $4 of each other, loose and complete for years now, and then it just launched up last October. So pre-pandemic, it started shooting up. At that point, it was $30 complete in box, $25 loose, and then it started climbing up from there.
So, assuming these levels go back down, I mean, I think we are starting to see that a bit, right, as things open up. For sure.
I don't know.
$40
GameCube's going to be on the upswing, right? Like we're starting to get to that range where that's going to be the new nostalgia kick.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's part of it. But, these prices are highly inflated right now, just given what's going on. So I would see them level out at some point.
It's not the best deal you're ever going to get, but they might climb back up to this range in the next 5 years.
Yeah, who knows? But let's just say this goes down to $50 here, right? I'd be okay paying $50 if I was totally new to this, hadn't played this before, and was like a complete in-box copy for a new GameCube I picked up. $50 would be a pretty good deal here.
So you think it's still worth the price of a brand new game?
Yeah, like honestly, if you look at Nintendo games in a way that they're typically priced on a used scale, even at a GameStop, they don't go down that very often, especially if they're good games. And this is a good game. So if you're looking at $56 right now, and you had FIFA in one hand and Super Mario Strikers in the other, I mean, I'd go up to Strikers because FIFA's going to go down in price.
And
right?
And it's not going to try to sell you a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you got everything here. It's already good to go. You can have a blast with it. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of nostalgia tied to it. Man, if I didn't have this game and I was really itching to play some Strikers and I saw it for $56 and I didn't know any better, like I didn't know I could go out and, find it in a lot or something, I would buy it with the comfort of knowing, because that's a risk too, right? When you buy GameCube games from, and I'll go into that in a minute, but if you were to see this at a store for $56, I'd pick it up. Now, the risk that's tied to, and why I say GameCube games are kind of iffy, is there's like not so many layers. So when you buff out a game, like a PS2 game or a 360 game, there's a number of layers where you can go kind of harsh with the sanding process on those, through professional machines that resurface. And after a certain period, those games eventually die, right? With GameCube, you really can't do that. You can go like one resurface, and then you still risk it not even working after one. If you go too harsh, you can't even do two. So like, if you find games that are scratched and they've obviously had some sort of like resurfacing done in the past,
you can't. They're gone.
Yeah, you got to be wary of that. Like, there's some games that are just so far beyond a GameCube that there's no point in even picking them up. So I think in cases like this, I do find more comfort sometimes in purchasing off of eBay and purchasing, from a seller, locally.
Somebody who's verified the quality.
Yeah, like in a store, and you have that ability to get a refund and whatnot. So yeah, those are instances where I'd say buy this at a store. So yeah, $56, I think it's fine. I think it's actually perfectly priced right now, given the situation.
Oh man, I'm going to be a little contrarian on this. Like, I thought it was fun and I had a good time and I would love to go back and play more of this game. But like, with how critical and how harsh we are sometimes, like,
would you have purchased this? Would you have said it was priced just right during pre-pandemic levels in that 35-40 range?
Yeah, definitely. Take $20 off the top of this. I'd pay that. I'd pay $35. I might even pay. No, I don't think I would probably pay more than $35 for like almost any GameCube game, just because there's a point where games are old, and if they're not super rare, I just don't see, I just don't see you getting that time. Like, once you get, here's the thing, once you get into collecting, the idea is to get a bunch of games. That's what you're collecting for, So if you're gonna pick up a game that's like a fun, cool multiplayer game like Strikers, how often are you going to go back to play that game and get all that money out of it? Like, if you're just going to sit down and play it a couple times and it's going to sit on your shelf, I feel like that's a little bit too much to pay. If it was like a brand new game that you just went and bought at the store, that you're going to throw like 30 hours at that. Yeah. And I just don't see people doing that with a multiplayer game that they got used just to add to their collection.
Well, I mean, it depends on who your friends are too, right? So if you have a number of friends that are willing to play this type of stuff, I think it's worth it. So let's just say this. We'll say it's priced just right, because at pre-pandemic levels, it would definitely be right where you would purchase it at. I would 100% purchase at that point. I'd even say it was deflated at that point in time. So let's say just right for this week, pre-pandemic and an even current, I would say that this is a good game. You should pick it up.
You're the collector here.
Yeah.
So if you think that $56 is,
look, there's people shooting $80 towards Super Mario Sunshine on GameCube right now, when I just saw one at Walmart for $37 used yesterday.
I just bought it with Galaxy and 64 for
Yeah,
50.
exactly. Yeah, and I just saw like the combination yesterday at Walmart is $37 because somebody returned it, and Walmart dips down the price if it's returned.
Oh, really?
And opened. So I mean, seriously, if you have that ability and people are still buying like Sunshines at $80 and even like $60, this isn't going to get remade anytime soon.
No.
This would be a good pickup if I'm a collector and I'm looking at a game that could potentially skyrocket in value down the road. This is definitely one to get. So I hope you guys enjoyed that particular review. Next week, I just threw Ryan Blue Stinger on the Dreamcast because we really haven't played a lot of Dreamcast games since we've been doing this podcast. So let's try and get through all the Dreamcast games I own, man. Blue Stinger is actually a pretty affordable game. I think it's considered a third-person horror game, I believe. And it's, had some, I wouldn't say mediocre, but okay reviews over the years. And let's give it a shot, dude.
Dude, I have no idea. I can't tell what's going on in any of these pictures on the back of the box. The front of the box has a guy with a gun, and then the comet from Final Fantasy VII about to hit an island with a zombie in the background, and then the first line on the back is "Survive the Terror of Dinosaur Island." I don't see any dinosaurs on here. I see zombies and comets.
Use your imagination, Ryan. So next week, Blue Stinger, and you'll catch it here. Any last comments before we close the episode?
Thanks again to everybody who came out for the episode 100 last week. That was a ton of fun. Thanks again to Two Scoop Games for giving us a great opportunity to interview them and check out their new game. And we'll let you know when they let us know more about the release of that.
Yeah, totally worth it. So give that a shot. And of course, as always, find us on all those awesome podcast applications. Leave us 6-star reviews if you can. If not, 5 will suffice. And of course, We'll settle. Yeah. And of course, find us on social media. Twitter is going to be at Game Deflators. Instagram and Facebook is at The Game Deflators. My name is John.
I'm Ryan.
And thanks for listening.